Hey everybody, Wes here. Thanks a lot for tuning in to my top 10 Capcom NES games. Now, I've been a fan of Capcom ever since the Nintendo, and if I saw that Capcom brand on the cartridge, then I had to play it. It was that simple. So yeah, I mean, I am a huge Capcom fan. Just check out my attire. I even have the Capcom Encyclopedia, so I mean, what does that tell you? I guess you could say that I'm a Capcom fanboy. Nah, screw that. I'm a man boy. I mean, I'm a fan man. Whatever. So I thought it'd be a lot of fun to take a look at my favorite games that were made by Capcom on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Now, I do have to let you know that I don't own every Capcom game on the Nintendo, nor have I played every Capcom game. So let me bring up some rules here that I set. So first of all, if I don't own the game or if I haven't played it, it doesn't make the list. That's simple. Rule number 2, only one game per franchise. That's right, Mega Man, I'm looking at you. And one more note, if you've seen my videos, then you probably know that I like to use the Retron 5 to capture all my video game footage. Well, I couldn't get one of the cartridges to work. I cleaned the hell out of it. I did a really good job cleaning it, and it still wouldn't work. So I had to capture the footage from my modded Wii, so it doesn't look as crisp, doesn't look as clear. I'm sure you'll recognize it as soon as you see it. So I apologize for that. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get right into this list because there's some really great games on it. The very first Capcom game I had ever played, and the third NES game that I had owned, Ghosts 'n Goblins is notoriously difficult, inducing migraines for 30 years. While the arcade version is one of my all-time favorite arcade games, the company assigned to port this classic over to the NES, Micronix, really dropped the ball on this one, plaguing it with unresponsive controls, making Sir Arthur's adventure unnecessarily brutal, even more so than its quarter-gobbling doppelganger. Yet, I enjoy playing this one regardless of how frustrating it is, with its chilling environment, unforgettable soundtrack, and a who's who cast of nefarious ghouls. The masochist in me rejoices anytime I hear its notorious theme, egging Lucifer and his minions on in red underoos as a matador would a bull. Had it received a better port, there's no doubt it would be higher on this list, but there's no denying that Ghosts 'n Goblins is a bona fide Capcom classic, eager to absorb profanity-laced verbal abuse that it so properly deserves. If it's a challenge ye seeks, it's a challenge ye shall receive. I'm a huge sucker for post-apocalyptic tales, so naturally Trojan is right up my alley. Set in a desolate world decimated by nuclear war, Trojan brilliantly combines Roman mythology with an end-of-the-human race narrative, akin to numerous tales which Japan had been churning out since Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like Ghosts 'n Goblins, Trojan originated as a quarter-hungry arcade cabinet, equipping its protagonist with a sword and shield against hordes of mutated baddies armed with clubs, knives, and dynamite. The NES port provided additional goodies to the game, such as extra rooms containing hidden items, and graced the early system with some of video games' most colorful and difficult bosses to date. While the controls leave a lot to be desired, which did in fact add to its difficulty, it also deviated itself from the slew of games that the video game industry was pumping out in the 80s. With a soundtrack that fits the game perfectly, Trojan is a dark and forlorn adventure, which signifies what Capcom was all about back in the day, and without a doubt has a special pedestal in Capcom's already enormous trophy case. Not to be confused with the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, Commando saw the first appearance of Capcom's infamous soldier Super Joe single-handedly fighting an army of enemies. One of the very first run-and-gun games, Commando had a huge influence on the likes of Ikari Warriors and Guerrilla War, amongst others, but for me, there's none better than the original. Like the previous two games, Commando started off as a ferociously difficult arcade, evaporating quarters like a vile pocket succubus. While still insanely hard, the NES port mercifully added continues and threw in secret hidden rooms littered with bonuses. Super Joe is armed with a machine gun and limited grenades, which assist him in rescuing allied hostages and destroying enemy bases. A turbo controller is a must if you plan on succeeding in eradicating the bad guys, which is not uncommon for early Capcom games. While the graphics and music are nothing to brag about, they are still easily recognizable, and racking up high scores is an addictive way to blow off some steam. The second Capcom game that I had ever played, Commando was yet again a timeless classic.
Bless me bagpipes!
DuckTales was a widely popular syndicated after-school Disney cartoon starring billionaire Scrooge McDuck, along with his nephews Huey, Dewey, and Louie. With the crazy adventures that this family of fowls found themselves on 5 times a week, it was only a matter of time before their escapades would be translated into a Nintendo game. Scrooge finds himself on a quest for, you guessed it,
More money, more money, more money!
Of course, there's a plethora of baddies standing between Scrooge and his treasure, such as Dracula Duck, the infamous Beagle Boys, and of course Scrooge's most hated rival, Flint Hard Glomgold. Launchpad McQuack, Mrs. Beasley, and Gizmo Duck also make cameos to lend their assistance in making Scrooge's fortune even larger. The game was developed by the same team that produced Mega Man, so naturally the soundtrack is astounding, with some of the best 8-bit tunes to emanate from an NES cartridge, period. Each of the stages in DuckTales has a unique aesthetic and soundtrack, leaving the player wanting more. And it's a shame there isn't more, because the game is simply too short and easy, which is what prevents this game from being higher on the list. Either way, DuckTales is an undisputed Capcom classic. Codename Viper is an often overlooked Capcom gem, which deserves some love because it's simply tons of fun. While I won't argue that the game is a Rolling Thunder clone, it actually adds a few elements that Thunder lacked, such as rescuing hostages and locating a hidden bomb, which must be obtained in order to complete each stage. While the story of fighting a drug syndicate and its dialogue are laughable, it's the gunning down of drug-pushing baddies in South America while avoiding colorful traps that make this game such a blast. The graphics are kind of average for a Capcom game, and so is the music, which is hit or miss on alternating stages. Quick reflexes combined with some memorization is the key to success, and with the cleverly named protagonist Mr. Smith at the helm, junkies alike will be wont to shooting ice water in their veins as a result to the conclusion of this exploit. Quite addicting. Capcom developed several vertical shooters early on in their existence, and Legendary Wings is one of the best. Another arcade port, which typical of Capcom was brutally difficult, Legendary Wings, like Trojan, mix ancient Egyptian elements with a futuristic, technological setting, creating a contrasting, colorful world of archaic statues and evil automatons. The game offers 2-player simultaneous play, which unfortunately I was unable to capture, being the introverted misanthrope that I am, but trust me, it's there. Both the graphics and music bleed Capcom, and like previous arcade ports, such as the aforementioned Commando and Trojan, added extras to collect, such as continues. But what makes this classic shooter stand out from the rest are the side-scrolling stages that you find yourself sucked into, whether it be a trap or a secret bonus stage containing crucial power-ups essential to survival. Unfortunately, the game suffers from carbon copy bosses, facing off against the same clones at the end of each level, with only cosmetic and vitalic differences. It's surprising, seeing as the rest of the game is acutely unique throughout. Regardless, Legendary Wings is extremely challenging, which ups the replay value, and being the huge shooter fan that I am, is always a blast to play. "1943" is obviously the sequel to 1942, Capcom's classic World War II shooter, with gigantic improvements. First of all, the torturous boops and beeps 1942 brazenly called music has been replaced with an awesome soundtrack that no doubt puts you in the mood to shoot down Japs in this vertical shooting classic. Say that again? The Japanese developed a game in which an American fighter pilot takes on a whole Japanese squadron, destroying battleships and aircraft carriers? Yep, and it was done brilliantly. One of my favorite shooters on the NES, if not my all-time favorite for the 8-bit machine, 1943 is another arcade rendition that was ported brilliantly with Capcom's archetypical additions, such as the ingenious power-up system, in which hidden American bases are found in order to add attributes to your plane, such as an increased life gauge, offensive and defensive powers, amongst others. This means you only get a single life, but balancing out your plane to your choosing makes it a unique experience, which truly makes this game that much more addictive. Like other Capcom shooters, a turbo controller will be your best friend here, and a password system ensures that you can pick up right where you left off to counterbalance the extreme difficulty. 1943 is a definite classic that should not be missed. Gun.Smoke is maybe the most brutal of all of Capcom's classic arcade games, even more so than Ghosts and Goblins. Not to be confused with the classic TV show of the same name, Gun.Smoke pits a single bounty hunter named Billy Bob against a murderous gang of thieves known as the Wingates. Capcom implemented a laundry list of improvements for the NES port, such as the ability to buy upgraded weapons from townsfolk, along with hidden power-ups such as speed-increasing boots, and a horse which allows you to sustain additional bullets. But probably the most brilliant of additions to the 8-bit port is the Hidden Wanted poster, which you catch a glimpse of at the beginning of each stage, indicating which ugly rogue you'll face off against at the end of the level. But the showdown cannot take place unless the hidden poster is located, otherwise the stage will start over and continue in an endless loop. The screen scrolls continuously such as 1943, with the man versus man element similar to Commando. Billy Bob can fire his gun in 3 different directions, and like all other Capcom shooters on the NES, a turbo controller is paramount. I recommend the NES Max. In fact, I wouldn't recommend this game without one, unless you're the Flash, that is. Great music, great graphics, and great controls make this an elite Capcom classic, and one of my all-time favorite NES games ever. What can I say about this game? Just goddamn excellent. The premise revolves around an uprising Nazi regime resurrecting the evil despot Hitler, which naturally was edited in the US version. Far more intriguing than the bland arcade version, which I had played before the NES port, Bionic Commando offers an adult storyline which I fell in love with as a 10-year-old, and presented a brand new game that only shared the concept of the bionic arm and several tunes from the arcade. Thankfully, nothing else. The protagonist, Lad Spencer, is equipped with a bionic arm which is utilized to climb and swing to new heights, as opposed to jumping, which is completely absent from the game. The unique mechanic offered different strategy than your typical 80s platformer, which takes practice to master, and even then, missing the mark with the bionic arm is not uncommon. The game offers an overworld map in which certain stages are selected in order to uncover more of the story and collect mandatory items essential to conquering the brilliantly designed levels. Coming in contact with roving enemy caravans sets you in an overhead run-and-gun stage similar to Commando, which provides you with continues. And speaking of Commando, the protagonist from that game, Super Joe, actually needs to be rescued. The graphics at the time were some of the best on the NES, and the music, while having that indistinguishable Capcom sound, is one of a kind, and is memorable within seconds of hearing it. The game has one of the best endings ever for a Nintendo game, and the pure joy of shooting a rocket through Hitler's head has to be one of the most satisfying conclusions to a game ever. Quite simply said, if you own an NES without Bionic Commando in your collection, you're a damn fool. Mega Man 2 was a near-perfect game, which was close to never seeing the light of day due to the first edition's less than stellar sales, thanks to lousy box art. Thankfully, this gem made it over here to the States and catapulted the Blue Bomber's legacy as one of Capcom's most successful and important storied franchises. Like its predecessor, Mega Man 2 offered the unique option to select which stage and Robot Master to take on, which was primarily dictated based on which weapon you receive as a reward. Each Robot Master surrenders its weapon, which then can be used against another Robot Master, which is particularly weak against certain firepower. That Metal Blade will saw right through Woodman with ease. Other than the first Mega Man, this had never been done before, but I, like most gamers, experienced Mega Man 2 first, so this was a brand new concept. On top of how unique this was at the time, the game also offered tight-as-hell controls and sensational graphics with anime-like enemies, huge robots with cartoon-style shading, and colorful environments. And then there's the music. Out-fucking-standing. Arguably the best soundtrack on the NES, and in my opinion, the best soundtrack for an 8-bit Capcom game. It's one of the reasons this game is so revered amongst old and new school gamers alike. I've played this game so many times, I have every Robot Master's weakness memorized. I can hum every tune in the game on command, and I even like to challenge myself by playing this game while consuming a couple of beers, or 10, and I'm always down to play this legendary classic. A must-own, Mega Man 2 epitomizes everything great about Capcom and what they offered on the Nintendo Entertainment System.
So there you have it, that's my top 10 Capcom games for the NES. Some pretty damn good titles on there if you ask me. So yeah, obviously I couldn't get the Strider cartridge to work. Looks like I'm gonna need a new one. If anyone wants to donate a Strider cartridge, no, I'm just kidding. No, really, if you want to send me one, I'm not gonna say no. So anyway, what are your top 10 Capcom games on the Nintendo? I know I left off some good ones, so let's hear it in the comments below. I just want to close by saying thanks a lot for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead and click on that button below. And if you want to see what other stuff I'm up to, more top 10s, comparison videos, some reviews, go ahead and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I'm very grateful for the few of you that have enjoyed my videos so far. So until next time, I'll catch you guys later.